It's a girl thing. I would have made my team do that too. I would totally.
So today we are going to be addressing the combating hazelnut price fluctuations. The agenda for today is identifying the problem, outlining our solution, identifying other alternatives, outlining our implementation strategy, and doing a cost and benefit analysis. We have a problem. There's an epidemic that is plaguing our hazelnuts and Nutella. There's a frost that has plagued the Turkish hazelnut that is causing input prices of Nutella to soar. So what can we do to save our Nutella and secure healthy hazelnuts?
So the core issue that we identified in this case is that the Ferrer Group must address the fluctuating prices of hazelnuts. To do this, there are three key areas that a solution must address. One is the fluctuating weather patterns in Turkey, two is the high bargaining power of suppliers, and three is an overall lack of stability. So to further address this issue of stability, we want to kind of visualize this and show this graph, which displays why producing hazelnuts in Turkey is really unstable. So that top line, over that timeline shows the production of hazelnuts, and it fluctuates by over 31%. And the rest of the world is displayed by that bottom line, which fluctuates only 14%. So this begs the question, why are we producing so much in Turkey? And if we stop doing that or start transitioning somewhere else, where are we going to produce? So the answer that we found is America. We believe that the next gold rush in America is actually a hazelnut rush. And National Arbor Day agrees with us, stating that the U.S. has the potential of becoming one of the world's leading hazelnut producers. This whole blue area is over 1.2 billion acres of potential hazelnut farming. But what will producing hazelnuts in America look like?
Okay, so for our solution, we want to partner with U.S. firms to expand production of hazelnuts in the U.S. And we're not just, we're diversifying suppliers so that we can have more of a stable supply in the long run of hazelnuts. And we aren't just like ditching Turkey, we're incorporating the U.S. to have a both more diversified supply. And especially with like agriculture, it's really important to have a diversified supply because such volatile weather patterns. So how we're going to do this is a joint venture with Willamette Farms, and this is a hazelnut farm in Oregon, and they're currently producing hazelnuts pretty well. And so it was founded by 3 farmers, and their goal was to grow the hazelnut industry in the U.S. And like their core belief is growing the hazelnut production in the U.S. And with that, that's really important because they have programs to help local farmers develop their own hazelnut farms. And it's really important that we partner with this farm in particular because they value growth so much. And going forward, that's what we need. We need growth of hazelnut. So what the problems it addresses is lack of sustainability and fluctuating prices. The ability to stabilize price levels and diversification of supplies creates a safety stock to keep a level strategy. And then fluctuating prices. So what wasn't addressed in the case is there's actually a hazelnut disease that causes the hazelnuts to rot. And so there's research being conducted in the U.S. that actually addressed this and produced a hazelnut hybrid that is more resistant to the disease and also frost, which also could be brought back to Turkey. And so with this disease and weather-resistant hazelnut, it will be able to secure a more stable product of hazelnuts. And so, as you can see, it's up in Oregon, and we're trying to expand into the U.S. And so we're going to be, we plan on sourcing from them to develop a safety stock as we find finance expansion.
So considering the U.S. doesn't actually produce a lot of hazelnuts right now, there's actually huge opportunities for the U.S. in entering this market. So there's a huge unmet market demand in the U.S. right now. About 20% of the hazelnuts that we consume in the U.S. are actually produced in the U.S. So 80% are being exported or imported from other countries that we saw in the previous map. this huge disparity in production versus consumption is a huge opportunity for us to enter and expand the hazelnut market in the U.S. Crop pairings, soy, wheat, and corn are huge products in the U.S. right now, and they actually cause a lot of soil erosion. And hazelnuts prevent that, so being able to kind of use the developed lands already that are used for agriculture and pair them with hazelnuts are actually beneficial for the agriculture environment as a whole. And the eastern filbert blight is the disease that we talked about earlier that affects the hazelnut crop in Europe. And what's being done right now is the U.S. is working on developing a hybrid hazelnut that combines the size of the European hazelnut with the disease resistance of the American hazelnut. So being able to research this and plant this in the U.S. Can work to combat that disease and increase supply. So some additional benefits. Hazelnuts thrive in soil that's unsuitable for other crops. They don't really require a lot of water or fertile soil. So we can use a lot of land and increase productivity that we wouldn't have otherwise had crops in. There's a ton of other agricultural benefits, including reducing carbon and nitrogen in the atmosphere, and increasing water efficiency because they don't actually need a lot of water, and being kind of a barrier to agricultural runoff in coastal areas. So we have a few risks and assumptions with our model, obviously. There's always potential for agricultural issues, but with our research, we've kind of decided that expansion is completely feasible, especially with new research in developing this hybrid hazelnut. Another issue would be, can we produce enough? And our model refers more to a gradual transition from the Turkish hazelnut to supply with the U.S., so we believe that's completely feasible as well. Switching costs will obviously be higher at first as we kind of expand and do research, but once we reduce these costs and stabilize transportation, we expect these to go down. Lead times, we obviously have to readjust our model to lead times from shipping to North and South American factories. And then quality, currently using European hazelnuts in most of our products, there's always an issue of what will American hazelnuts taste like if we use them in more of our products.
One alternative solution that we considered after reading this case is to backwards integrate and purchase the Alton Group. And actually, after doing research, we discovered that Ferrero Group did this in 2015, and thus far it hasn't really gone well for them. In 2016, despite an increase in revenue of 2.6%, their profit decreased by over 43%. And moreover, we believe that the solution doesn't solve the core issue, which is fluctuating prices. Investing all of our production in Turkey is just not smart with the frost and disease issues in the EU, and diversifying our portfolio of hazelnut sourcing and expanding to the U.S. is just simply the best option for Ferrero Group.
So we have a Gantt chart right here that outlines our implementation process. We start with market research of U.S. hazelnuts and doing a lot of logistics and researching the transportation costs and building the safety stock throughout the first couple years. And then we go to integration and have grow production so that we have only 60 to 70% of our hazelnuts being grown in Turkey. And here's a more graphic design of how this will look. So in year 0, you can see that we have all of our hazelnuts being grown in Turkey. And then in year 2, we start growing the safety stock in Oregon. And then year 4 through year 8, we're going to increase production in Oregon to kind of offset the amount of hazelnuts that we are producing in Turkey. And the line up top is the level production that we are aiming to stay at.
So here's our cost-benefit analysis. So our main costs we've decided were switching costs, which will increase at the beginning as we invest in research and development and stabilize with transportation. By year 8, we estimate $21.34 million will have to be invested in Oregon to expand their plantations. One of the benefits of diversifying our supply is that if we have 60% of our supply in Turkey and prices were to increase, the price would only affect 60% of our supply, therefore reducing the effect of the fluctuating prices that we identified earlier. So, do you want to suffer with frostbitten hazelnuts or secure the future of Ferrero? So now we'll open it up to questions.
I have a question. So, I know that you stated you wanna go to Oregon. What is that gonna do to your margins, compared to, Turkey? And is there thoughts of, if you're gonna go into the US, any other place in the US that, I'm thinking of the amount of space in Oregon. So how would you answer that question?
Can we go to, yeah, I think it's that one. So right now, 99% of hazelnut production is in Oregon.
Okay.
And we figured out right now, we produce, or we would need, I think, 23.2 billion hazelnuts right now. And if we have 40, by year 8, we want like 40% of that to be in America, which is the 9.3 billion hazelnuts. So that means that we would need 33,000 acres of farmland in Oregon. And currently there's already 28,400 hazelnut farming acres of between 650 different farms. So we decided if we're partnering with Willamette Farms, and if we partner with a few of the other farms, we'll probably need to develop about 10,000 acres of farmland, which is definitely doable in 8 years.
Okay. Thank you.
What's the plan between year 1 and year 8 to address supply and fluctuating prices as you ramp up the U.S. production?
Yeah, so if we go back to this, we have this safety stock that we're going to build without decreasing the amount of hazelnut supply in Turkey. And so that will kind of act as a buffer as the demand, or as the supply is decreasing in that region, so that we can tap into it if needed. And then we're continuously building, and there is more potential in Oregon than there currently is in Turkey. We found a quote saying that Turkish farmers are looking to decrease the amount of land that they're using and that they're investing into hazelnut, so they aren't fully relying on that, because of the random weather fluctuations are causing all of this price fluctuation. And whereas in Oregon, farmers are looking to increase. They're actually currently increasing more than 3,000 acres of land per year that's being used for hazelnut growth.
So what's your proposal for the current situation we're in right now? We're facing a shortage and price fluctuation. So how do you propose we handle that until this plan can be implemented?
Well, that's kind of what we were thinking about with the safety stock, is building that and kind of using that to buffer right now. Not so much relying on Turkey to increase their production, because that's not really going to happen.
So I understand, obviously the Turkey situation, and then you said the joint venture in the U.S. Have you considered potentially doing joint ventures elsewhere in the world as well?
Yes, we looked at doing Australia. We weren't able to find as good of, reasons why we should go to Australia. We were thinking start in the US, and then as we kind of determine those transportation logistics and the costs of altering our supply chain through the US, then we can look and compare those costs to how and use that as kind of a pilot for going into the rest of the world.
What's a maturation period for a hazelnut tree? How quickly does it yield nuts?
In the first, it takes 3 years to start yielding. I'm not sure how much, but it takes 12 years to have the full. I think it's 2,800 hazelnuts per tree, and it takes 12 years to get to that point.
But there's 7 months of from growth to maturation of one hazelnut.
So you're building up this safety stock. How shelf stable are they? How long can you keep this safety stock just sitting there before you're forced to use it? You can keep your buffers.
So hazelnuts actually last a long time in the freezer, so we were like looking into like the storage, obviously building storage is one of our costs. So yeah, freezing them, they actually have a really long shelf life, up to a couple years.
Does that impact the flavor at all?
No.
You talked a little bit about taste between the European version and the American version. There's mention of development of this hybrid. What are the risks involved with this in terms of how does that taste compare? Is that going to affect the marketability of the product?
So there's not too much information like on the taste. More like the hybrid, will it last as long? It's that more of that quality set, and like more of the storage and like logistics rather than the taste. I don't think there is a huge taste difference, but this is still like in a research and development phase. So they're kind of working on that. And the issue is more of like securing the supply rather than the taste in Nutella. I'm sure you never know. I mean, you can't really taste it that much, so.
So you have a production facility in Ontario
Mhm.
in North
Mhm.
America? Is that your only North American production facility?
Yes, and then there are 2 in South America.
Do you intend these hazelnuts just to be for the North American market, or?
We hope that the hazelnuts grown in Oregon will be able to be used in the North American and South American regions. And there is a growing demand for hazelnuts globally, and so we're assuming that there is going to be more factories in the North and South American regions, and so this would be a great investment in order to be able to supply those factories with smaller transportation costs.
So you looked at partnering with this farm in Oregon, and I saw your plan to expand. You said about 10,000 more acres, and that would get you to what you need for 40% growth. Did you have any consideration for current customers and how that's going to affect things, and if their need for hazelnut grows, how will you manage that?
Can you repeat that?
Yep. So you have there's already customers to the
Yeah.
hazelnut farmer you're going to partner with in Oregon. So how are you going to manage taking over a large amount of that demand with that
Yeah,
farmer?
so they're already increasing their supply without necessarily that demand that's there already. And so we'll essentially be taking over the space that's not already being utilized.
Also, with their like core value being growth, they really want to grow as much as they can, and so the new demand that we're proposing to them would really be like something that they'd be excited with.
Are hazelnuts a globally priced commodity? Does a drought in Turkey greatly affect the price of hazelnuts globally, or less so?
I would say that, with a drought in Turkey might cause, like in this case with Ferrero, we're looking to go to other places, and so that could cause the prices of the suppliers in Oregon to fluctuate depending on, it's all demand and supply and those costs. I couldn't tell you for sure if it would increase or decreasing depending on that, but there might be a little bit of fluctuation depending.